要用在一种的这个定价贴总品毛出专属都国有位置ว่า要对象接着政府อเมริกาตัวอีเลียนผู้ว่าปอนตัวโกอีเลียนมงอีเลียนจะขอเดียวเรายังมุ่งจีกุนสอนยังตัวที่จะรอจัวในผู้ว่าปอนที่โกอีเลียนนอตัวโจเกอร์ยังตัวเซนแคลิฟอร์เนียเป็นเรื่องตัวโกอีเลียนนอจีเจ้าเชียตัว政府อเมริกาแล้วตัวฟง政府อเมริกาจะขออีเลียนนอเทียบวกเก็บผู้จุดโดยรุ่นหนึ่งเพื่อแมงเฟรนยังตัวที่ชอบเชื่อใจในเป้ตัวที่หนึ่งนอ
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome all of you back again and like to introduce you again to Herman
Thank
Frank.
you. Yes, Herman Frank.
To be
Thank you for
correctly
having me.
With the first and last name. So, tonight I'd like to talk a little bit about the case, the appeal case last time when we talked, and I'd like to follow up on that a little bit and see where the status and all those different things. And then after that, I'd like to bring you to talk about a brand new case, which very interesting case. So first of all, Herman, can you reintroduce yourself a little bit to our audience?
Herman Frank here in Sacramento. I'm a lawyer. I have a background doing civil rights lawsuits. I also do a lot of business disputes and other items. Some time ago, I got involved in representing Hmong people in a couple cases, and it kind of goes like that in law. You do one, all of a sudden you got two, and before you know it, you're the Hmong lawyer. Okay, and I'm happy to be that guy. I was approached by some of the defendants in the criminal law case that was brought by the U.S. Attorney's Office, alleging in so many words that there were some people here that were trying to wage a war on Laos. And the people that were in that case thought it was just an absurd allegation, like how we're just like little people on earth. How are we ever going to wage a war on Laos? That case got dismissed by a federal judge, and then we then sued under a claim called malicious prosecution. And that's the case I'm doing. I was not anybody in what we call the underlying criminal case, but I picked up a civil case on behalf of some of those defendants, and we sued the federal government for something called malicious prosecution. To make a long story short, the federal court dismissed our case and alleged on a finding that we had not shown that the dismissal was based on what's called factual innocence. It was they deemed it more like a procedural victory. And what we did is appeal that to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. That's in San Francisco. And that's where you and I first met. Right. I was just about to go to the hearing on that. And a couple days later, I went to that hearing, and it was really good. We could tell
the result is?
We could tell we were going to win, and we did win, and it got reversed. So what they did was they reversed the judgment of dismissal, vacated that, and remanded, which means put it back down. And the case is currently back to Sacramento with the district court judge. And the district court judge, so far, he gets it back. He's like, oh, God, here we go. And I know this judge. I just did a long trial in front of him. Good guy.
Before we go to the detail of the case currently, I like to bring you the very first thing first, because last time we talked about this case and it got a lot of people interested. Wanted to know whether or not if you are suing the federal government or you are suing the defendant, which is the agents and the agent supervisor only, or the federal government. Can you clarify in?
The answer is both.
Both, okay.
Both. So we're suing Special Agent Stephen Decker. You can see his name right there. But we're also suing USA.
Okay.
So this is a case against the federal government. Okay. And we're also suing the director of alcohol, fire, tobacco, and explosives, mainly seeking what's called injunctive relief against him. Okay. He was not involved in the underlying action, but he is the chief of this division, and we want to make sure that they don't try to do this kind of thing again. So we're seeking an injunction, which is like a stop order.
Okay. So now that it's back to the federal court in Sacramento, can you tell us a little bit what is the status now in Sacramento court, and what do you expect? What's the next step?
I am having some kind of problem with our judge, because what I want him to do is just set it for trial. I mean, that was my idea, is what the Ninth Circuit really required him to do, and he hasn't done that yet. So instead, the judge issued an order requiring the defendant to explain why they dismissed the criminal case.
Okay.
So there was an order requiring that, and then it had a due date, and they gave a timely response in writing. The U.S. attorney needed to explain basically why they dismissed that criminal charge.
Okay, and
they did submit a writing, which is most amazing because it says quite a bit, but mainly it gets down to this. They were a little bit surprised that the defendants in that case, the Hmong defendants, were able to attract such an amazing criminal defense team. And I think you've interviewed some of them.
Sure,
they were actually, Mr. Brosnahan and Mr. Kicker are really California's like tied for #1 lawyers, you know, and very impressive group. I guess the case was so high profile that it starts to attract that caliber of lawyer, whatever.
I see.
But the bottom line is those two guys managed to blow major holes in the prosecution's case. And they basically noted that in a motion to dismiss the case, quite a few lies were proven. In the USA's case.
I see.
And it was sort of like, gotcha. And the way lies work in law cases, you know, maybe you could survive 1 or 2 or 3, but if you got like 10 or 15, it's like, forget it. You're not going to win. Yeah, just forget it. And they had like 25 major lies.
I see.
And big time stuff. And it was mainly Mr. Decker just telling a lot of lies.
Who's lying? Mr. Decker lie or the defendant's lie?
No, Mr. Decker.
Okay, I want to make sure.
Oh yeah, no. And actually, the Hmong defendants really didn't say much. They were just like there. You know, I've seen like the videotaping, some of the evidence of that, and most of it, they're just there.
And what? In specific detail, so the judge that you said you're not particularly like very much.
Well, I don't like what he's doing on this case.
I don't. In this case, so
actually, I like that judge a lot. He's a good guy, but on this case, he should set it for trial, and he's not.
He's not. So
what he did do was he required them to make a statement. Why did you dismiss? Well, that was actually quite helpful because I want to know that. We now have that answer. I then submitted something to the judge requesting that he permit me to take a couple depositions. One of Mr. Decker. Okay. And I asked that, gosh, it must be 8 weeks ago, and I have not had a response. Normally, it's not so hard to get a deposition in a case, but that's how it went.
Deposition from Mr. Stephen Decker?
Yeah.
All right.
Where I could have him answer questions under oath. That's what that would be. And a court reporter would take it all down. So that request is pending. But really what I want the judge to do, my real thing is set a trial date.
What your ultimate goal is, what's next? The ultimate goal is to get the judge, set up a trial?
A jury trial.
Okay, jury trial.
Yes,
all
that's right. We've asked for a jury, yes.
Mr. Frank, what do you think about this case? Do you think the plaintiff right now, they are the plaintiff, not the defendant anymore. You think the plaintiff, do you have a chance at all win this case against the federal government and the agents and agents supervisor? You know,
so many people have told me there's no way you can win this case. You're not, including Mr. Brosnahan. He just told me, forget it. Okay, don't even and he would not cooperate with me. He did cooperate in this regard. He invited us to come to his office, which we did, and Nia came with me, and they made a kind of presentation to us of all the evidence, and he was trying to show me, look, there's a lot of evidence against these guys. Look at all this stuff. You don't want to, they got out of this case, let it go. That was kind of where he was at. And I think part of his issue was, if you start to dig in, they might charge it. They dismiss the case on their own. That means they could refile it.
I see.
And this was something.
What do you think about that? Can they refile and then bring those defendants back?
You know, the answer is yes, but it's a risk.
It's a risk.
And we all are taking that risk. And I remember having this discussion with everyone. They all like, ooh, I mean, could that happen? Yes.
Is that part of the reason why not all of them agreed to file, to be included in the civil suit that you are working on right now?
Right. There was a concern that there might be retaliation. Now, what I can tell you, though, is like if you look at the date of this decision, this is October 17, 2012.
Right.
That's a decision dismissing the case.
Right.
Well, this has been several years, right?
Right.
And there's been no new case.
It is now 3 years.
So,
3 years.
yeah, and there's been no new case.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean they couldn't do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow's a new day. But I don't, they haven't done it yet. I don't think they're going to do it.
And then to assure some of the audience of the risk of that the federal government may bring those guys back and file a new charge with them, as a lawyer standpoint, what do you think?
Well, it's just a fact that it's a risk.
Okay.
That's just a fact. To give an example of this, I wanted to also, I'm going to be taking the deposition of one of the lead defendant in the underlying criminal case, Lieutenant Jack. I talked to the public defender about it. I first talked to him.
Okay.
But then I talked to the public defender. And the public defender wrote me a very nice, polite letter saying, no, I will not let you take the Lieutenant Colonel's deposition because one of the charges carries a life term.
I see.
And there's a rule that if one of the federal statute of limitations rules, if the sentence is life, then there's no statute of limitations.
Oh, I see.
So that means they could bring it in 20 years.
In 20 years.
As a practical matter, they're not.
Okay.
But as a lawyer, he's advising his client, don't talk to Herman.
I see.
But it was nice because he gave me an idea that I kind of figured out about this case now. Okay,
so regardless anyway, you and the 3 plaintiffs, Nia Cao Vang, David Vang, Chu Hu Vang, and their spouses are going with this case anyway.
Unfortunately, the spouses got dismissed. So the spouses are not, but the 3 are, yeah.
Okay, they are not part of the civil suit anymore.
They are not. They were part of it, but the federal judge dismissed them, and that part of the decision, the Court of Appeals did not reverse.
Okay.
So.
All right, so now we want to be sure.
Sorry to the wives. They're not in.
We want to be clear that only the 3 plaintiffs are Nia Cao Vang, David Vang, and Chu Hu Vang.
Yes.
This case that right now with the Sacramento court, or federal court, that you would like to tell our audience?
Yeah, the main thing is that Stephen Decker, as an undercover agent, made a decision to bring forward a lieutenant colonel U.S. Army to make it look like it was an official U.S. sanctioned event. And so, in other words, he was coming forward saying, this is a U.S. government deal. They're behind it.
I see.
And we need some help from you guys. Are you okay with that?
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like, hey, psst, come here, we're going to do a war. It was, hi,
official.
USA needs your help again. And that's why they got the colonel in.
I see.
To make it look like a USA deal.
I see.
And everyone was thinking, okay, so this has USA backing, right? Everyone had that idea. Well, Decker, when he goes to the grand jury, they never mention anything about that concept, that this was represented as a official U.S. deal. Okay. So all the evidence, when I go to Mr. Brosnahan's office, all that evidence that I'm looking at, okay, and basically it's like they're in a room and we've got Stinger missiles in a box that Decker's people brought there. And basically offered up for free. We will give you this missile. We will transport it all the way to Thailand for free. For free. All you got to do is get to Thailand, then you're going to pick them up and get them into Laos. I'm not sure how you're going to get into Laos, but you're going to carry all these things in on donkeys. I don't know how. I remember. That's interesting. The whole plan was so absurd. It's like if you read it, you're like, oh, get out of here. How are you going to get all that stuff in?
So in other words, you know what? I don't think all of our audience get to hear about the facts and evidence of that case. Now, I'm glad you bring that up. Besides having those, weapons and all those stuff that they accuse the defendant at the time, can you, now that you have seen the evidence, can you tell a little bit more of what kind of weapon that they actually trying to sell to the defendants?
It's Stinger missiles.
Okay.
Yeah, and the sale, I don't know if you could really call it a sale because it was a give.
It's a give.
Yeah, I will give you all this. We're going to put it in Thailand. You're then going to go there and get it and pick it up and somehow walk it into Laos. Okay. Then they sanctioned the preparation of a report that would be how, really it was a nice blueprint. Mm-hmm. How would you take
now,
over?
Who made the blueprint?
One of these...
one of the defendant?
One of these guys, and I'm trying to remember his name. I've talked to him a few times, but I think it's...
Was it David?
I think it's David.
Okay.
Yeah, David Vang. And the understanding was the U.S. government wanted a report.
Oh,
if we were to wage a war on Laos, what would be the right way to do it? And so they asked him, give me a strategy document.
Kind of a proposal.
And it took the form of something called popcorn, which was a code word.
It's and Operation Popcorn.
It's Operation Popcorn, and it laid out what as I read it, I don't have a military background myself, but as I read it, I couldn't help to think, wow, this is really good. I mean, this is how to do it. You know, you start off, you go in, the first thing you do is you bomb all their communication systems. Okay. Well, that sounds smart, right?
That sounds
Get rid of all that right away.
Right.
Okay, and then it starts about bombing strategic buildings like the president and the chief administrative office.
Okay.
Well, just blow that up right away, right?
Okay.
And then like the courts and the police and the military sites. So it was really very, you don't want to just go in and try to firebomb the whole country.
Right.
You just pick strategic sites. So he did a wonderful job laying it out. And they used that as evidence saying, these guys want to start a war against Laos. Look at that.
I see.
Well, you asked us for this document.
Okay.
They never said that. By the way, please prepare this for us.
Okay. So the agent itself actually asking for that blueprint.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well.
And then they write it up, and then they accuse him of starting a war. It's like, well, you asked me for this document.
That's true.
You offer to give me all this stuff to go do it. I mean, most of these people, they have no intent of starting a war. I mean, one of my guys here, I'm trying to remember which one. I think it's him. He's a police detective.
Right, he is.
And what he was interested in doing, as a lot of Hmong people are, is to somehow document what's going on as a film. He was interested in doing a documentary film on what is happening in Laos. That was his purpose.
That's pretty much it.
And next thing he knows, he's in like an RV, and in the back of the RV they got maps of Laos, and they've got Stinger missiles, and they're sitting down with this big plan, and he's like, I just want to film a documentary. Excuse me, I must be in the wrong...
And that SUVs belong to Agent Decker?
Yeah.
Yes.
All that, yes.
All of those.
All of it.
All of the weapons and everything else.
And it was made to look like a U.S. government deal.
Oh,
that's the deal.
That's the deal.
And it was interesting after Mr. Brosnahan and I talked several times, and his associate colleague gave us this show and tell of all the evidence. He kind of wanted to make sure that we got it. Like, did you see that stuff? And I asked his associate, very smart guy, one question though. Okay, you got him in a room with Stinger missiles talking turkey. That's kind of what they're looking at. That's like a negotiation, you know. And I asked him though, do you agree that if they made it seem like this was a U.S. government-backed deal, and just like before in the Vietnam War, the U.S. government is coming to the Hmong people.
They actually brought stuff to them.
And we're saying, we need your help again.
Right.
If that was the premise, but that premise got cut out. Like when you go to the grand jury, that first part gets lopped off, and all they see is this beautiful popcorn document with a blueprint of how to fight Laos and Stinger missile photos. He agreed with me. You got a case. And it was really interesting because their whole point in bringing me there was to show me I don't have a case. But at the end of the day, I knew it, and I knew I was right. I knew I was right. And then when we got in front of the Ninth Circuit, they totally got it right away. It was like basically Stephen Decker tricked the grand jury into indicting these people. And the whole thing was a big pack of lies, and it really is. It really is.
From the first time I spoke to you about this case, it got a lot of interesting in our community, and not just in the United States, but all over the world that watching the program. And hopefully with this paperwork and document, and now going back to the federal court in Sacramento, that you will update us with the next step. Hopefully, what do you say? 3 months from now, maybe
Yeah.
6 months from now?
3 months we should have a trial. In 3 months we should have a trial date.
Okay.
That date may be out a ways, but at least we'll have a trial date. Yeah.
And then the last question about this case is that what are you seeking for from the U.S. government?
Well, damages.
Okay.
Yeah, we want money, and a lot of money, but the amount of money will be determined by a jury.
Okay.
So we'll present all the facts to a jury, and we'll tell. As a result of this, my clients had to spend time in jail. They were scared to death that their whole world was over. They're understanding they're going away for 10 years.
Okay.
This is not like a go clean up garbage on the highway kind of case. This is a federal prison forever or for 10-year kind of case. Life as they knew it had come to an end. They were scared to death. They were losing everything, their homes, their businesses, everything they could have. They all of a sudden they needed money for lawyers. They have no money for this kind of stuff. So we want damages for that. We also want something called injunctive relief to make sure they don't do it again.
To these defendants?
Yeah, to bar the U.S. government from doing this again.
Oh, that's good. Okay. With that, we're going to leave this case status right now, but we will sure follow up with you. But then when we come back, I'd like to talk to you about a brand new case that you just filed on behalf of the Hmong people. And with that, we'll be back.
我讲到的一种的这个电影家，也就很好做，甚至我那地了谁从Hmong Report Dec说Hmong给其他做到的被动的我，那到风中会没干从那个一列，我也会做不的吧，那个种的做人做到，没么生意。
特别比呢，也比包的，像我拍起呢，也我拍过起呢也多了呀。你莫不就像个比赛的，比较帮伊比赛的，去年被我去一个你honor the moment the 40th anniversary 呢，这比赛的哦也被我去你去年我呢，这比赛的也被我录 exhibit 你听 recognize 你听 celebrate Hmong history 那样，这你比同的了呢，这特别比呢，莫比都是个。被的去某年呢，这边这边也朋友这一人一排，这他这年去世了呀，被不就能这到不就爬呢，这路project 那里头出事了，到得了呢。
นู่นเราจะต้องอยู่ที่จะโดนนู่นที่
อย่าไปอยู่ที่นู่นอย่าวันที่ก่อนเดี๋ยวลูกก่อนเลยจะไปอยู่ที่ทิ้งก็ January 2nd นะลูกอีวันที่อ่อนเลยนะนี่อยู่ที่ถอน่ะไปเจอเรานี่อยู่ที่นะอย่างนี้ตัวอันเดียวนะจีต้องการได้ซื้อหอยนี่ตัวถอยน่ะไปเจอน่ะจีนี่ถึงเนี่ยเขาต้องซื้อหอยต้องการอะไรกันได้ซื้อ
ให้จะกิจกรรมเต็มเดี๋ยวไปเจอเนี่ยสิก็ที่จะมองจะเชื่อเจ้าตรงเฟสโนนอสแคลิฟอร์เนียเนี่ยเขาหมดเลยจากตัวก็ป้าเถอะ
这里只因把去掉，把没的是因为我被考的嘛，考被我录 project 了，那么考也被多灯红老师也是啦的少的，我控制到有了就这样，只要一考没那样，那个东西就 everything 要 quality 先啦，被只要我来我是那样，可能也被我一个日子了多报了，没干多报了，一几年的，可能也去你还怎么跟佢的店那样。
cho 我多天就找那那他把到着เขาที่รอ找给他
叫那么每一家没干就了么的呢？别的了我后来找CIA 了后来找IVS 的就被报的了么的就被把到他就从西海的了也就ว่า中国都引起了个可能出事那样，别的一百的有300没事了等到呢。这一百的有的只能没了，中国了的，中国陆续现在么那被打一都中国内呢，那个多别的叫多呢，叫空呢，要那要根据呢，这边什么事了呢？个那看到你的那的啊。
นู่นเราไปมั่วจอว่าเผายาวไปจอตัวยันใส่ยาวตัวยันที่จะมีการอะไรตัวกล่องว่าลูกคนเชื่อในนาเทียว่าตัวสิ่งที่กูจะไม่ใช่ตัวกูยังได้ก็ชิตา How do you feel about event like this?
Well, I feel that it's important to know about our Hmong history and the Second World War of the Hmong and the Laos and stuff. And I think it's really important how the Hmong came to the USA.
Anything that you learn from today that after you walk around and you see all these photos about Hmong and Laos and all kind of stuff, one thing that you learn from today is what?
I learned that it's really difficult for the people to come to the USA, and some suffered a lot from the war.
Anything that you would like to share with younger generation like you at home that are watching us talking right now?
Stay strong and never give up.
Y phần để cho tôi cùng lúc con này là sao cha.
Nung là cú đã rồi cú bé tụi mua là bé tụi cùng lúc công trình và cho tụi hoàn thành luôn là muốn chia bé cánh cử hai cho bé lu nành mong lu xua mong cả chủ sĩ chắc cả từ lọt rồi bé sẽ đợi tàu bỏ cả bé cho tụi hoàn thành luôn cả cho họ khác bé lu nành bé lu chơi lu chỉ thâu lọt lại rồi lu dùng xe hình.
นู่นก็ตัวส่วนนั้นเนี่ยก็บอกได้ยาวก็เขาตัวก็ตะการจอโดยจะตาทดลองเนี่ยไปมองรุ่นนึงกุกาโปรเจกต์ชงเทียเขาชาติในตอนนี้เนาะตะการในเทียก็ผมไม่ได้ยาวก็ตัวก็ตัวแค่ในตีตะการมันจอได้ยาวตรงนี้เทีย
กูยงเชียเทียกูหัดดูเชียหังวิหัดเดียกูยงเชียเขาหัดเดียไปมองรุ่นนึงcho thầu lên hậu lợi thì chỉ cho chúa chỉnh chúa để chỉnh chúa tây dữ giả bị sát bảo và bị chỉnh cho tôi phải tiền bị thằng bị tù bị tàu của ba chỉnh hứa America thì bị luôn một lần chỉnh trở lại nhau học cu chỉnh giống như hình thì chỉ có tu chia mà tu chia hay tiền thì nó bị cho tu cho nó bị tu nhau thì chỉnh nó bao cho tôi sống lợi cho trong tư cho lợi cho ta mà giờ lên chúa bé chỉ một bữa tu là thế nào chúa America là cô chỉ tao ba bé tôi chỉ tao mỗi ý rồi họ nhớ chỉ bố bé và thể tu nô tu gì bé tao đó là我找了天呢
你有一個話用喺度俾喺你冇你古老古用些的叫一般叫做呢來古呀莫都注意的莫都些咋叫了嘛我一號人呢看到cho đất sắp cho mấy tụi mình nhỏ giá tận đây nó hay thì bên mông luôn nên giá tận là lợi dụng như vậy.
Ý có bỏ nhớ trong nó để giàu chỉ nhỏ bé tàu khởi chế trong bên luôn nên trong nó rồi giá tận đây này giờ đó chị.
Nếu cũng muốn đâu giờ bé mà cái thì bé chỉ bảo tạ thế đó chứ mà ý họ nhiều ý cho lên mình cái hay cho lesson cho bổ hiền là cho làm một kia cho mấy tụi mình nhỏ bây giờ cho tôi yêu tới cho nó là chỉ bao thì mong muốn nên giá tao là dùng đi cha mong cho cái tao nhảy đi cha cái quan trọng là mong giá tao là dùng đi cha chỉ ta lên đầu xưa nếu có khi tao cho mấy tụi mình nhỏ và chỉ có yêu là giá tao đây thì bây mong tao tới cho nó tập cho chung lo lại bây cô mua cái vải mình làm đâu giả hình thế
cái ấy tụi cái khen đó nhớ đồ hồ State University nhớ đồ hồ San California nó bỏ tàu tiền nó để rồi để phần để cho lúa cho lầu lấy chỉ tàu tua cổng lúc con chơi nó để chỉ cho nó đau nuôi lấy tua cổng để chỉ tàu tua cổng này các bộ mấy là lúa sao rồi lấy để con chơi rồi nó chỉ nhớ sẽ tua cổng là lý giải thế
có là lúa nó mà vậy là lúa chạy chơi hay và nó sắp qua của tụi kia mà của xã cỏ số tụi mong chỉ là để cho yêu tiểu là cho yêu tới cho nó giờ tôi bỏ tới họ dùng lên nó thì thì bao thì yêu luôn nên giờ ta là dùng lên cho giờ thì tụi tôi在họ chỉ sử dụng là một sai của xã thì theo tụi nó theo nó thừa thì về mong luôn nên nó chỉ chỉnh chính cho tụi nó giờ tụi giờ thì thừa thì mong luôn nên nó chỉnh chính cho tụi nó của xã cỏ sau đó tôi bỏ tôi sai cho nó tôi cởi thế tôi khởi thế họ và mong tôi dùng chơi là cho là một khi cho mấy tụi mình nhỏ.
I'm really proud as a young generation youth. Since I'm here, I can see more about our Hmong culture and learn more about it, and that makes me proud.
Cụ tôi bỏ số nhà nó có bé tiếp bảo hay thì bé nhiệt bé chỉ cho cái doanh nghiệp bảo lý trả thì lý cho bé tôi cho tới chuyện nó tiền lợi cho cái lúc bé có bé cho bé tôi chỉ lợi doanh nghiệp bảo trả là lấy những bảo sẽ chia sẽ tôi cho bé tôi tới chuyện nó có bé tôi cần đâu sẽ lý lừa hành nhưng cái bé chân chơi lý lừa hành nhưng
cụ sai thì bé cho cụ yêu tới chơi cụ yêu thấy tới thì si tôi nó chơi tới bé xong chơi mà đi tôi nó chơi yêu chỉ bảo đâu chơi thì yêu nhỏ thấy tế rồi chạy nhóm lo tế rồi chạy yêu này với yêu chỉ lấy lúc nên rồi chạy nó chạy tôi bỏ tế nó là cũng trong sẽ hình tôi bảo là thì bé mong giờ lên từ bé who are we, what are we about, and bé culture there learn more about who we are.
Lúc con chuyện là cô mua tàu ít lúc chẳng mua cho bé bỏ hay thì bé nhà bé chỉ cô lúc bé lỡ theo lịch bé tôi cho tới chờ thì nó
bỏ tàu tiền lúc con chuyện này lúc con chuyện chẳng chẳng hay nhất rồi này bé chuyện mong nhất rồi tới America mới cho mong nhất rồi tới tàu sai cho thế tàu cùng lúc con chuyện là tí dạng gạoส่วนสิ่งนั้นกูจะเนี่ยมันใช้จอกี่ชิทันตัวเลยเดียแล้วในฮอตซาลิจ่า
กูรู้ไปสว่าเขาจัง小นะกู要的才梦จังไป梦华奈呢
ก็ยอดตีแต่จะ说呢ก็ว่าได้จีซื่อ
กู要多师傅看到让他落贵州 University
ยอดตี呢ก็ยอดตัวรู้รอฮูลิจ่า
กูเนี่ยรู้รอว่า贵阳 City มากู要一路升下的贵州省贵州路省部分省
ลูกหอบเพียก็ตัวโดได้จากอเมริกาเนี่ยยอตัวของลูกกุ้งเช่นเราของเขาซึ่งเราจะตัวได้ชิดแท้
เป้ป้าหัดเดียมองตัวจะไม่ก็ต้องปล่อยจุดชงนะเป้สันตัวเป่าหัดเดียมองเราในโรงเรียนสันตัวกงเรากงเช่นนะ
เจที่ตัวโตเชิญนู้นเลย
เป้มองเส้นพาตัวหนึ่งก็น้องหรอเป้ตัวหันอยากน้องเก่าตัวจ้อ
ตัวปอมินชีเนี่ยมองลุ้นในยอดที่จากอเมริกาเนี่ยเขาเจอลิจ่าที่แต่อยากก็เขาเกิดโตในยอดได้ชี
เกิดโตอยากมาเป่าหัดเดียโรงเรียนเขาหัดเดียมองตัวไม่กันมาแบบมันใส่แต่是มอง整เป่าหัดเดียจบมอง整只农家มองจะ根骨มองจะ根骨เดีย只农家มองจะ主机
แค่มินชีจะเป็นมองลุ้นในยอดสวดเต้เนี่ยเขาโรงลิจ่าโดยไปเจอเดี๋ยวสิ่งที่จ่ายยอดโดยที่จากอเมริกาเราก็ไปเอาเป้าจ่อเดียเป็นมองลุ้นในยอดที่สวดในเขาโรงลิจ่าโดยลิจ่าเท่
มองเนี่ยสวดเต้มาจงชับเลยจ่อมีเลยต่อมัวเนี่ย都落山贵州落山还云南落山还滇湖南那么梦中差不多嘛贵州多嘛怎么包里呢都เนี่ย贵州落山อย่ามามุ่งแต่สนามมามุ่งใจเนี่ยไม่เกิดสวัสดิ์มาจะว่าไม่เที่ยจะมองนังเกิดตัวเสียเที่ยมอ professor เที่ยมอหนอจูเที่ย整容เที่ย嘛整容เที่ยมุ่งมาเนี่ยตัวสวัสดิ์มอหาโลนะมามอหาเอาไปหาแต่是嘛粉波杯酒支酒那么不要到เที่ยมามอจะนั่งจะเข้าจะ到เที่ยมอ到หายมุ่งเนี่ยตัวสวัสดิ์มาในสุดตัวมอสหามงสวัสดิ์ใส่
นู่นเราก็ตัวของลูกกุ้งเชงนอว่าเก่งจะจบโปรเจกต์ชงเดี๋ยวไปมองตัวเขียนที่จะรอจัวตัวยอดโดยที่จากอเมริกาเนาะก็เกิดตัวอยากได้ชีแต่อยากได้ชัวก็เกิดตัวยอดโดยนู่นเนาะ
นู่นน่ะกูเป่าหัดเดียไปมอง整完没ฮะ整容ฮะเที่ยนู่นน่ะมาไป整包菜หัดเดียเปล่าจะชงนะไปจะกินกูมาไปตัวเก่าอันนั้นมาจะไป整包菜头
ที่ลิถก็ตัวจอโดยที่จากอเมริกาเนาะจอโดนนู่นเนาะอียาวก็เกิดโตเคยโตก็อยู่จอดักกันหมดเคลียร์โดยไปมองยอดโดยสวดเตยได้ชี
อีอย่างหัดเดียกูสั่งหัดเดียไปยาวตัวมองล่ะไปยาวมองไปจะหัดเดียไปยาวหนึ่งนี้ไม่กล้าจะหัดเดียก็ยาวตัวไม่กล้าสู้ก็ยาวตัวมองไม่กล้าไปนั่งสวดเตมาจะหัดเดียไปยาวตัว Chinese สู้ไป整ยาวตัวมอง Chinese นะมาไปยาว死绕么ว่าไปยาว晚们菜头天嘛ไปยาว口节ไปยาว跟骨天ไปยาว主几天นะไปยาวมาเคยได้จะมีเหลือตัวอาเดียไปป่อไม่กล้าจังว่าร้องหันเที่ย
วันนี้อยู่สินใจเนี่ยก็ผมไม่รอรู้หายโดจอมมองใจยอดโดที่จากอเมริกาซื้อยอดท้องเปล่าเนี่ยเต้นอสิบต่อปอกก็ได้กูชิดถ่ายจะโดนรู้ใจเนาะ
กูสังหาตัวสุดตัวหายเดียไปมองมาเนี่ยตัวทงเปล่าที่เชียวไปเนี่ยหาตัวการเลี้ยมาไปต่างชาติอย่างมองไปเจ้าชายอย่างอีหยังไปอย่างชิลุชินเนี่ยเที่ยหนึ่งเนี่ยหาตัวมาหนึ่งเช่าน้องก็หายเดียหนึ่งสู้เธออย่าตื่นสวัสดีตัวมองลุกรถได้เชียวไปเจ้าปอกกุ้งอยู่กุ้งยังสวัสดีมาเท่านั้นเสือตัวเจ้าก็มองสวัสดีใส่ไปใส่เจ้าปอกกุ้งอยู่กุ้ง
ส่วนสิ่งนั้นกูจะนำใช้做好一点好มองได้จีที่ได้จี
yêu biết học California face rồi mong luôn đi học California cái này nó cứ hay cho bé mong cái sponsor và thằng mong tôi cho tới America nói mua sponsor ba lấy cái giờ nó cứ biết cho lại cái sponsor cái experience hay cái sponsor nó tao mong tôi này là mua cái nhỏ đó chi ba mong của nhau lấy ba mong là họ mua họ nhẹ đó chi thế này cái là cứ biết nó cái cứ biết từ sau cái đó nên nó hay interview cái sponsors nó thế chỉ ta lên đấy nhá tôi shopping nó cứ cô hay cho thì bên mong nó tôi thích America thì Australia hết nên tao khỏi theo dõi là America cũng xa bên mù thông thích hợp đó chỉ là cũng sẵn hồi tí vì cả bên mong ấy kiểu nhau Minnesota Wisconsin nhà lý nên là cả bên họ kia là nhau California nó kiểu họ nó cũng biết cho thì ít có reason rồi có vì cả là họ là nhau California nó kiểu là cũng biết bên họ nó thế cái thằng đấy tôi shopping nó là cũng biết cho bên nó là biết cho họ hay thì cho em không thích thời cái mong tôi thích America nó này là họ cũng muốn chỉ hoặc là bỏ hay thì chỉ trong là racism là tí dạo nên sai chỉ tàu mong nó cũng mua lên đấy thì là thảo luậnตัวnày cũng mua cái nhiều xe đắt chi nó vậy cái bây cứ interview to bây tu xin giải nó là cô phải cho lấy ra đây thì thảo luậnตัวnó thì phiền tàu lấy cáiตัวnên gió lấy không ít cái bộ chạy cái chọn này hay thì thời cái mongตัวnày là lúc này họ xong lịch chẳng
cái cho nói gì cho nhớ họ sang California nó sẽ là nhớ có thể
cái nói nhớ California sẽ cho họ face nó mà bị thả cho Hmong California sẽ này cái họ nói cứ cho cái đàn hình bảo Hmong California sẽ đó chỉ cái nó ít cái cứ kia from Wisconsin thì lựa họ khai tôiอย่างก็thế cái là bây giờ vì lấy cả là họ nhớ là họ kia là nhớ California vậy bên nó là cứ thả cho bây có cứ hay có tôi cho thành chế của ta nó cứ họ luyện cho government rồi civil engagement á cái là cứ biết cho cứ highlight ở bên cái mong của nhau họ California nào và cứ xuống bên cứ song hành cho bên mong nhau họ California thì ba bên in the civil engagement area cái thằng nó cứ cái bác hồ của xã địa do này cái ô khổng em nó cái bác hồ họ bác hồ này họ họ của xã địa做事情ที่นี่เขา represent เลยเขาส่งปีที่ส่งเป็นใจเนาะแล้วเขาอีชาบางคนเราก็ให้จอเขาให้เตียเป็นดาวเกี่ยวเราถามมาเป็นเกี่ยวกับชุดสามลงอย่างเกแต่ชิโนเป็นเขาสามลงเกเลยชิชมว่าเกี่ยวเรานะเกเนี่ยเนาะเกช่วงก่อนตัวเด็กขอเป็นหมู่เฮาเราช่วงก่อนชิมัวเด็กเป็นเฮาเลยนั่นน่ะเกเนาะ it's really great and I feel like it resonates a lot about this space cái thằng này bây cứ thả cho họ hay tiệt bây mong tôi tới America nó bây tu face leader ở yo phong ya ở yo Paradise Van yo nếu cứ yo ít tu face leader là nó nếu cứ tu cho bên á cái nếu cứ he's involved nếu cứ yo tu involved là họ Microsoft Microsoft Translator cái nếu cứ yo ít tu ba lời hoặc Microsoft Translator có Microsoft Translator Google Translator này yo có muốn hỏi con tàu hay tiệt sắp bảo hay tiệt có yo tàuเขาnói mất xài lịch cả là mình cảเลยtao mình cảอยู่xài lịch cả luôn mong nè cái là cô yêu ôi nhớ học fresh cho Fresno here California people nó cứ vậy cho ôi bác là ôi hình này cái là cô mất nó cho demonstrate thế hạt thì bên tao tại mình cả nó xài tao lịch cả luôn mong là luôn mong luôn mình cả
cái con nói giờ khóว่าnhớ trong Googleก็một số cái thì cô sa cô chỉ bắt lo luôn đấy mình cả nó hay luôn mong chỉ cái mất xài tao một lọ nè mà bây giờ
cái họ website thì nhớ cái họ nói cái mua được Microsoft Translator nó cái tao tầm mong hỏi à bên bị gì hay thì là nó là một French là chỉ cái xong để mong mua lử lo lù này cái họ mất thải to lịch cả nữa
cái tuần gì nó bây giờ thì là mua trâu sa tao nó là họ mua đã chỉ thế đã chỉ
cái họ cứ hay cho họ Microsoft Translator gì thì họ cứ hay ra bắtหัวcứ dùng hình thì họ nó cứ hay cho ý là lý họ tiến đi mua họ Thailand face rồi cái nhớ Thái Tếtตัวnày ở cáiนี่กูบอกเลยจะทีnumberเลยhọ là cái đuôi là Thái cái đuôi thầuตัวเด็กตัวThái Tếtตัวเด็กอเมริกันนะ cáiกูบอกเลยcái đuôi nó cái bâyกูสาหัส showcase แค่เดียวโอ้cáiมีnhiềuเลยcáiนี่บอกcái đuôi nhớ béจีหัดเดียวตาลินเดสิเลยตัวเด็กอเมริกันเราเขาย้อนเล่นตื่นนะอย่างเลยเราก็บอกดิถ้าดูยอดต่อcáiก็เราจะตัวเดียวโอ้หนูตอนนี้ก็ชัวนี่เราอีตัว educator นี่ตัว filmmaker เลยเขาโอ้หนูตัวนี่ให้ตัว judge เลยนะcái bây bỏ hạt tiền là nhau thay thế chỉ hạt tiền là tôi thấy khi nào là ustar đó chỉ là tôi chọn là cô bà mình hay là cô tàu trả đâu vậy thế cái this is our wall of journey of a refugee thằng đó là sắp bị nó bây cứ xả hay lại bây không có bên mong chọn tới lời họ chọn tới hay cho bên mong cái chuyện hay tiền như sau hay cho bên mong lý họ chọn mong sau nè cái bây giờ mới hay lại cái bây có ít cho nó ít cho bước nó cũng tôi khen kia cũng như tôi bỏ đua lời họ cũng tôi nhìn đua nè cái tôi bỏ lên nói cũng như bỏ tới tiền ô bên mong cũng và mình thì cũng ít cũng chỉ bỏ thì bên mong chọn author cái món này à cái cứ xong tới cái món nó so I feel like it's a really important thing that bên cứ showcase cái bên cái nhiều tương sai cần tới lời cũng bỏ theo shopping nó cái cứ biết có entertainment segment thì做 shopping nó cứ biết có entertainment segment cái cứ không có bị highlight có tứ luôn sai luôn và cũng một chút kỳ trong hệ xử lý hung cao sinh kế hay cứ chia cái biết có talent nhớ học California nó rồi bên mua có Bentley Paradise Sounder White Shadow có John Bailey tôi lý và cứ thì không là thì Aiden một chỗ có tôi sinh kế thì vậy cái bên cứ showcase nó cái lúa nó cứ bỏ hay thì bên mong tôi thấy cái nó vì mua cái lò bên tôi mua cái nó thế
一种是啊，你对交朋友的故事的，可能要我当到北梦要在加美加的什么技巧，可能要我梦去生要做好生 California 我搞这边。
เป็นตอนมาชาดันนี่เนาะชาดันนี่มองอย่างแคลิฟอร์เนียแต่สิกุศลที่ชื่อมองอย่างแคลิฟอร์เนียสิอย่างเดียวก็ยกเขาตื่นแล้วกุศลเดียวก็ชาดันนี่ชิสีอย่างเก่าอย่างเกี่ยงอย่างลีเขา life in Laos เมื่อไทยติ้วนั่นนะกันแต่จริงอยู่มอง Wisconsin Minnesota เราไปชาดันยิ่งมุดตัวเขา journey อย่างเก่านะเกี่ยงเขาช่วยอย่างเดียวกันเนาะอย่างเขา face เนี่ย life in California ช่วยอย่างเดียวที่ชอบไปอย่างแคลิฟอร์เนียเนาะที่ชอบไปบ้องมันเมย์เขานี่จะชิดต่อบ้องหัดเดียวอย่าง California your LinkedIn, so it's a good way to expose to people outside also to know who the California story is as well.
要多查呢，要查我被蒙根据企都冇，啥的节目都冇要多วินัยสิในปอเดียยาถูเลยอุลิจาเลยที่ว่าตัวจะพัวเลยจองก็เลยป้าตัวเลยลาได้น้ำของทานได้เข็มรอตัวหมดได้จะท้ายเนี่ยตัวเนี่ยเนาะจะช้างเนาะในปอเลยเนาะที่อย่างก็จริงๆโดยชาเนาะในปอตัวเดียแล้วเขียตัวโชว์ชาติจะท้ายในแล้วหลอนมุญยอดโดยจอว่าแคมเลยจอว่ายิ่งถนัดตัวจอสิลีเดี๋ยวนอยว่าได้ปอตัวเดียวว่ายิ่งถนัดตัวจอวินัยเนี่ยโดยส่วนเนาะเราที่อย่างก็เทียแล้วแค่จอเดีย兄弟被蒙哈摸开了么？要多路是米那叫么的家，所以那跑要多一些就跑下就去，你摸去就找爬了么多，要多那开根据找多的，到被蒙开的，那就老做多么要多家因他那的找人的好容易家多的家的。